Well, today is a very exciting day because the excavator crew is here and I think we might be able to button up all the site work today, and this will be last day of the site work for this year. So first thing we had to do this morning, we got up nice and early at 6 a.m. and we moved the RV from the spot where we were to just a little bit lower. And we were able to do that because last night the contractor came and dumped a load of driveway fill to put on this lower section here, so that we have now a nice flat spot. He even rolled it, so now it's really solid. So the RV before was over there, and we just drove it down and put it here. So now we have this whole area with driveway fill. There's no low spots, so we shouldn't have water accumulating anywhere, and it should still drain down here. And honestly, we're very excited to have more flat space. So now we'll be able to put the sawmill over there and just have more space to maneuver around. The reason we had to move the RV is because this RV pad that we call this area between the utility building and the future barn, we are putting driveway fill there so it's nice and solid and not muddy. So that's gonna be 6 inches under the final grade, because we'll also have like top surface gravel when we're kind of done with all the building and all the big machinery. So this morning we laid out which area exactly to fill with the driveway fill. We already have 2 loads of driveway fill delivered. I also put detectable tape in this area because this is where our conduit is going to the utility building, and it's stopping there because that's how far we've laid the conduit. And hopefully this survives this, because this is our marker where is the end of the pipe. So in the future we'll have to dig this up to connect it actually with the foundation of the utility building. After the excavator crew put the native fill on the leach field, the next step was to deliver the topsoil, but it started raining and it rained pretty hard, so the road was pretty messed up, and it tried to deliver the topsoil on Saturday, but unfortunately it just couldn't do it. It was too wet. So then on Monday, the road got fixed up, but it was still pretty wet. Luckily, it hasn't rained since Monday, so the road has been good and the topsoil was delivered. So this is screened topsoil without any rocks or anything like that, which is going to be the final layer on the septic leach field. So in the meantime, the trench got filled in as well. So I laid the detectable tape for sewer and fiber, even though it's going to be Ethernet, but fiber detectable tape is close enough. We'll lay that down, and then the next step is going to be get more R fill on top of it, so we get deeper depth for the pipe underneath. We also buttoned up the septic tank area. I painted our vent pipe green. We'll think about whether to paint the mushroom vent on top or not. It's just a slip-on fit for now. And then fill the sand all around the tanks and the risers. And also the excavator filled the backside with our native fill that came out of these holes. And then also, so there's a Y going to the house utility building, and then this is a riser which is higher than it's going to be, which we'll cut it at the grade height, which is going to be the height of the riser. And this is going to be our dump station that will go into the tank. And then we also put these 2x4s at the end of each stub out. So this is pipe to the house, pipe to utility building, and power and Ethernet that goes kind of around to there. And this way, when we'll have to excavate, it's going to be much easier to just run the bucket against these 2x4s so that we can dig the trench to the house in the future and to utility building first. We also pulled the pull string through the conduit for the Ethernet cable, and it took a little finagling with the bag and the vacuum. The bag had to be just the right size, not too small, not too large, to fit through, to fill the conduit, but not be so much that it gets stuck. But eventually we did it, and now that's gonna be ready to go. So here we have one guy moving the soil to the far end to make it flat. And then we have another guy working on the septic leach field, and he's spreading the topsoil, and we are going to have to rake it. I'm so excited. We're so close to being done with our septic system, and we'll be able to start using it. So you've been raking here. It looks really good.
Yeah, this is unbelievably hard work. So talking to Austin in the excavator, he says what he found the best way to do this is to rake it by hand and not try and use the excavator bucket to spread it, because it compacts it then.
Yeah.
And then it's way harder to rake and even out afterwards. So he's like loosely kind of dusted this area, and then I'm here trying to spread it all out. Trying to get a crown, so there's about a 2-inch crown from the centre to the sides. I'm failing spectacularly at that at the moment. So my first pass is really just to kind of get it all a bit more even, and then we can go back and shape it some more. And then the other thing we're doing, we confirmed with our engineer this is fine. We're going to kind of pretty much flatten this area out for storage. So we can put firewood here, those sorts of things if we need it. We've got a flat space here that we can use. But for now, we need to get back to raking.
Okay, I'll grab a rake and we'll have Matt raking. Man, raking is really hard work. So it's mostly raked, the top is mostly raked, and this side is, and we'll call it for now. I think there's still room for improvement. But yeah, for now, I think the septic leach field is done, and the next step is going to be seed something on it. Now the crew is working on increasing the grade of where the septic pipe is going. The reason we want to do that because when we dug out the trench, we had to hammer it, and it just would be too much to hammer like much deeper. So instead we're adding the soil on top to raise the grade, which works out fine because one side of it is higher than the other anyway. So that's actually gonna give us a lot more flat space, which is great because flat space here is at a premium. The crew is making great progress, and now we have about a foot of topsoil on top of our septic trench. So that is great. And also now in front of the leach field, we now have another flat area, which is great. And here, this section here used to be the logging trail. And then from here, that's where our septic trench was. Then we're still gonna add some flags where the septic trench is, so that we don't, or other big machines don't drive over it. It's looking pretty awesome. Here, the septic tank, we also added detectable tape for the power and Ethernet, and it goes over here. We already kind of covered it here. Makes this corner, and then goes into these 2x4s, and added sewer detectable tape as well. Bye our big topsoil pile. We'll pretty much have used all of it for the septic. Crew is making great progress, and this septic tank area is going to be covered soon. Very exciting. And once it's done, we're still gonna need to landscape it and kind of rake it smooth, and I think we'll add wood chips because this area is going to be close to the house, and we have no interest in cutting grass, so we'll not put grass in areas where it would need to be cut. And near the house, I think it would be, so that ticks are not too close to the house. So I think the simplest solution is to just add wood chips, and we have a ton of them. is the afternoon, and now we're smoothing out the driveway fill where our RV is going to be. So this will make a nice solid flat surface where we can put our RV while we build the utility building and the house.
And afterwards as well. This is actually going to be, this section here will be long term, a place where we can have the RV parked. It'll be adjacent to the utility building where we have utilities and full hookups basically. This is actually one of the first things that we're putting in that's going to be like this for a long time.
Yeah. Well, what a day. It's 4:30 and the septic tank area is finished. We still need to finish it. We still need to kind of rake it smooth, get the rocks out, and we'll put wood chips down. But in terms of big excavator site work, that portion is done. And we pretty much can start using our septic system. We're very, very happy with the progress so far. We managed to accomplish everything we set out to, and actually the site work for this year with the big machines and everything is done.
Yeah, we've tried to avoid having rigid deadlines or like schedules that we have to meet, but today was one of them. Today was our contractor's last day on site. They are pretty much closing up for the season starting next week. So we really had to get stuff done today. There was a lot of little things to finish off, little just areas to go and touch up a few little items, as well as obviously the big one of the septic and the RV pad.
Yeah.
And like you said, we got it done.
Yeah. So they'll be back next year because we still need to excavate the house site. But for this year, we're done with them. But we still have more work to do. So we'll need to seed the leach field. We also need to rake the septic tank area, and we'll probably put wood chips there. We also now have topsoil area where the transformer is. So that is pretty much the final graded what it's going to be. So now we can prepare it for whether we're going to plant some apple trees or some other fruit trees, or we'll build firewood piles between the spots where the trees are going to go. So there's still a lot of work to do. Plus, we also have a lot of logs to mill and a lot of firewood to make.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way we're going to get all this done before winter, and that's okay. We have made so much progress this year. We are delighted with how much we've achieved, to be honest.
Yeah, we have electricity, we have water, and now we have septic.
And frankly, just a clearing.
Yeah.
This whole space was thick, dense forest when we arrived back here in March this year, and almost just the two of us have taken down every single tree here on our own, and that just feels so good. To have now got it graded, brought in the utilities, honestly, I'm just really, really happy.
Also, I'm glad that we made a decision not to try to get in the foundation in this year, because that would be really, really tight to get it before the winter. I mean, now overnight it's already freezing temperatures. Plus, if you leave the foundation slab over winter, you'd have to cover it, and it's just like extra effort. So that's going to be the first thing we get to in the spring.
Yeah, and we are trying to make sure that when we come back in spring, we can be as productive as possible early on. So around here, the roads are posted through the winter, the dirt roads, the unpaved roads, like the one that we live on. And that means that they are not usable by big trucks, big vehicles, until usually around about mid-May is when that ends.
Yeah.
Which basically means we cannot get the contractor couldn't bring the excavator down, we couldn't get a concrete truck, none of these things could happen until about mid-May. So we've tried to make sure that we've got everything lined up ready so that we can be useful on site before then.
Yes.
For example, yesterday we had a big truckload of sand delivered here. Mm-hmm. That will be really useful when we come to install some of the plumbing and things in the foundation. We've got that stuff on site so that we can start to use it.
But probably the very, very first thing we're going to start is with felling some more trees.
Yep, we have no shortage of trees that still need felling. There's a whole ton of trees up here that are kind of behind where we'll be building. We want to take some of those out so that they're not putting the building that we're building at risk. They'll be a lot harder to take out once there's a building there.
Yeah.
And the other area on the house site, the whole footprint of the house site, I don't think is fully cleared of trees yet. Yeah. And again, we want a space around that house site so we can excavate and have a bit of a clearing, a defensible space around there as well. Not to mention the vast kind of spruce forest that disappears off into the distance there. And a few people have said it's a shame that we're taking out all these trees. I can tell you now, those spruce are incredibly unhealthy. Mm-hmm. We had a friend come over the other night, and they were looking for some logs to build a fence with. And so So we went through the pile to see what we could find, but they needed real small ones, and we just didn't have anything that size, so we've chipped most of those. So fortunately, we were able just to fell a few trees in our forest. And when I say fell, I don't mean with a chainsaw, I mean literally just push them over. Or in the case of one of them, I just lifted it clean out of the ground. These small trees, 3-4 inch trees, are just not healthy. The roots are rotten, the trees are dying, and it won't be a bad thing at all to give the forest some space.
So we're not done yet for this year, but we're done for today.
So if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, and if you want to follow us along on our journey to build our dream home here in Vermont, and you haven't already done so, then hit that subscribe button and join us in the next video.